Okay, so now right here, bisects, says figure MO bisects, so this one bisects the whole angle. And so bisect means cut into two equal parts, so this side's going to be 9x minus 14. This side's going to be x plus 74. And given that right there, we have, so bisects, if it cuts into two equal parts, I need to set this piece equal to this. 9x minus 14 equals x plus 74 plus 14 plus 14. 9x is x plus 88 minus x, 8x is 88, divided by 8, x is 11. So now, that's one of the things it asks for. It says solve for x and find the angle for LMN. So let's trace that one. So LMN, right there, LMN is the whole thing. So I need to actually plug it in. So let's plug in here. So it's going to be 11 plus 74 is 85 degrees. So this piece is 85. This piece is 85. And the whole thing together is going to be both those together. So it's going to be angle LMN is equal to 170 degrees. Now let's take a look at this next one. Right here, it says in the figure ST bisects. So ST is the one cutting UX. So this one cuts this one. So if it bisects UX, that means that UX is being cut into two equal parts. So my part UW is going to be 8x minus 4. WX is 2x plus 20. Now, if they're equal parts, I set them equal to each other. 8x minus 4 equals 2x plus 20 plus 4 plus 4. 8x equals 2x plus 24 minus 2x. 6x is 24 divided by 6. X is 4. Now, go back to the question. Solve for x and ux. So ux is, let's see, it's all of that right there. So I need to plug in. So it's going to be 2 times 4 plus 20. So I'm plugging into that one. That gives me 28. So this piece is 28. Since they're equal, this piece is also 28. So all of it together, so ux is 56. Now, let's look at this next one. This next one right here says that if x is greater than 100, so we're going to pretend like this is equal. So if x is 100, this right here is a straight line. That's a straight line right there. What are the possible values for y? So if that's 100, that would be 80, because the straight line adds up to 180. So now let's look at this. Let's go back to the signs. So if it says x is greater than 100, so a number greater than 100 would be like 110. 110 is a greater than 100, because remember, alligator eats the bigger one. So 110. So if this is 110, that would make this one 70. So I compare what happened. So this one's going down. So that means that y has to be less than 80, because the numbers, when this is true, when x goes up, this one goes down. So from 80, it's numbers that are less than that. Number 6, again, I'm going to read it as if it is equal. So if this is 35, so because this box right here says that's 90, so if that's 35, that would make this 55. Now, this says right here x is less than 35. So if I pick a number like 30, 30 is less than 35. So if that piece is 30, this one go to 60. So this would go up. So that means that y would have to go greater than 55, because, you know, alligator is the bigger, and 60 would be bigger than 55. So, okay, using diagram below, find x and explain how you would tell a friend how to fellow student solve it. So, one, I'm telling you how to solve it right now, but you're going to have to put it in words. You're going to have to put it in words for yourself for this problem right here. So let's take a look right here. So this right here, again, is a straight line. So if it's a straight line, it's going to add up to 180. So that, and that together, so x plus 4x plus 20 equals 180. So all that's going to equal 180. Hold on one second. Gotta adjust this. There. That's better. Okay. Okay, so now combine like terms. 5x plus 20 equals 180 minus 20. 5x is 160. Divide by 5. X is 32. So we get the answer there. X is 32. So now, I just explain it to you, and you're going to have to explain it in your words using, periods and all that other, at least, come on, 1 or 2 sentences. You got a couple lines here, you could do that. Now here, write down as many facts are observable from the figure below. Need at least 3. So these markings right here, these are important. These mean that they are congruent to each other. So I have that angle DEC is going to be congruent to angle, this one down here, so AEB, AEB. Now, there isn't much more to go along with this, so let's go with something simple. So angle AEB is going to be adjacent to, so AEB, so adjacent just means next to, so I could say like BEC. BEC. That'll work. Okay, now let's do it another one going from the other direction. So angle angle D. It's a D right there. DEC is going to be adjacent to angle CEB. There we go. Now this one here, draw a diagram that satisfies these 3 conditions. So of these things, I'm going to pick that middle one that's adjacent, because adjacent means next to. So let's take a look. I'm going to start off with here, here, here. So these are adjacent. So I'm going to call this one BEC and BEC, and the other one's going to be CED. CED right there. So now this next one's going to be A. So I need an A on here. So AEB. So it says AEB is congruent to, put a congruent mark, CED. CED. My drawings is not very good to scale. Apologize. Okay, next one says AEB. AEB is congruent to BEC. BEC. So that's going to be this piece right here. So all of these are going to be congruent to each other. Now, on this next part, it says if AEB is 30 degrees, this one is also going to be 30 because they're all congruent. So they're all 30. And it says right here. So for this next one, see, it says angle BEC. So angle BEC is equal to 30 degrees because they're congruent. Angle CED is 30 degrees because they're congruent. And angle AED. So AED, I have to look closely at what I have on there. So AED right there, that's the whole thing. So that one's going to be 90 I get it because it's 30 plus 30 plus 30 equals my 90. That's the reason why I'm justifying your answer. Give me a reason to justify that. All right, next we have, okay, number 10. Number 10, construct a perpendicular bisector of RP. So now, I need to make sure I have other paper underneath this because it doesn't stab very well. I have to have it to be able to push into something. So let's make sure, okay, I can push this in pretty well. All right, so now I'm going to start with P. And so when we do this, stab P, give it a good stab, open it up more than halfway. So more than halfway. So I stabbed in P. Now I'm going to draw my arcs right there. And without changing it, I'm going to stab R and draw an arc right there. So now that right there is going to give me my perpendicular bisector line. So I'm going to take that and it has to cross to that point right there. So this is going to be my perpendicular bisector. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. I gotta zoom out a little bit for this one. Okay, this one right here. The instructions say draw an acute angle ABC and then construct its bisector. Label all your points. So the only points that we have to label for this, because they only have this, is A, B, and C. So I'm going to start with draw an acute angle. We know that acute is just less than 90. There we go. There's my angle. Label it A, B, and C. Now we're going to bisect this angle. So I take this. So whenever I'm bisecting angle, I want to be about halfway. So open it up a little bit. So about halfway in between. So it's not an exact science. It's got to be a little bit more because the bigger the angle, the bigger you're going to have to do this because it's going to cause you some issues later on. So stab B. So I'm stabbing B. So stab B. Draw my arc. Now I'm not going to change this. Now this is going to be my new stabby point, and this is my new stabby point. So I'm going to stab here. If you notice, I did not change my angle at all. Did not change my arc. So all I'm doing is just moving it and stabbing a different point right there. Now do the same thing. So stab this side here, and then there we go. Now I need those lines. Those arcs tell me that I actually did this. So when their test is actually being graded, it's going to be graded on having these arcs where they're supposed to be. There we go. And so this is the intersection point. So it's between this point right here, and I line those up and I draw my straight line. Okay, so now next one says draw a right angle. It doesn't say construct, it says draw. So that means that you're going to draw a right angle. Right here. So right angle we know goes straight up and down, so try and draw it straight up and down. There we go. I'm going to label that as my right angle. Okay, it says label all your points, but it actually doesn't actually have anything to label. So I'm going to make up some here. So let's say A, B, and C. So now we're going to do the same thing that we did for that previous problem. There we go. I'm not even going to change the size of my compass. So draw my arc. Okay, got that one. Stabby point. And then stabby point over here. So there, where you see them come together right here, that's going to be my point. So I take it from here and line it up with B. There we go. There is my angle bisector. It says right here, what are the measure of the two smaller angles? So if I bisected this, that means cut into two equal parts. We start off with the right angle, so that means it's 90. So 90 divided by 2 is going to give me 45 degrees for each one. There we go. Now it says construct a copy of the angle. So there we go, right about there. So what I'm going to do is, okay, the easiest thing, I'm just going to draw the line at the bottom. So the line's not the part that I'm worried about. So just draw a line. So I have my baseline, that would be this line here. Now I'm going to stab this point here, stab point, again about halfway. So about halfway I'm going to draw an arc. Okay, so I drew an arc right there. Now I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to do it from the end point of this line over here. So end point of that line, I'm going to there we go. So now I have a nice arc there. So next thing I do, I'm going to stab point here. Okay, stab point, and now close it to this right here. So I measured it out. So I have from here to here, that's where I need to. Okay, I need to measure that out. So now I'll show you what we're doing. I draw a little arc over here. Okay, so now stabby point over here, and then there we go. Now where these two lines intersect, to be that point, I'm going to draw my line from there all the way that way. So now I have copied the line. Okay, let's take a look. It says use a straight edge and compass to construct a segment that satisfies SN equals 2 times SU. So that means that SU, so it's going to be twice that amount right there. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my straight edge. I'm going to take it out further, way out here somewhere. Now, the next thing we're going to do, I'm going to stab U. So stab U and open it up to S. I don't know if you can see this. Stab U and open it up to S right there. So I stab U, open up to S. Now, that value right there, I'm going to take it this way. So this point right here is going to be the same distance from here to here as it is here to here. So that satisfies this. So that makes this piece going to be N. So it's going to be the same distance from here. Okay, and so let's go right here. So all points are collinear, that means they're on the same line. Explain why U is the midpoint, because U is the midpoint because it's going to be same distance, so this is same distance as that. So it means by definition of midpoint, that U has to be in the middle between these 2 points, between S and N. So you could use that same thing in your own words here. All right, draw a diagram that follows the criteria. Draw 2 lines and a transversal. Okay, so let's start with that one. So 2 lines, 1 line, 2 line, transversal cuts through it somewhere. So 2 lines and a transversal. Okay, got that part down. Angle 1 and angle 2 are corresponding. So corresponding angles are inside, outside, same side. So let's say that this is going to be angle 1. Okay, angle 1 and angle 2. So let's take a look. So I'll highlight as I go. So angle 1 and angle 2. So I got that one. So angle 2 has to be down here because those are corresponding. They're on the same side. The next thing says that we have 2 and 3 are vertical angles. So if this is 2, this is my X right here. So 3 would have to be here. So 2 and 3 are going to be vertical. They're across from each other on an X. So there we go. That highlighter works better. Next thing says 3 and 4 are corresponding. So this is on the outside. So I need the next one on the inside on the same line. So this is going to be 4 right there. So 3 and 4 are corresponding. So that's the next thing. So now after that, it says that what type of angle pair is 1 and 4? So now right here, they make an X. So now angle 1 and 4 make vertical angles. The answer is I'll abbreviate that, vertical angles. All right, next one is 16. So let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, which lines, if any, must be parallel based on the diagram given here? Okay, so let's take a look. So we're going to have going in 2 different directions here based on the given diagram and information. So the information that I have says 13 is congruent to 12. Okay, so 12 and 13 are congruent. So let's take a look of what lines those are on. So those are going to be, they're both on line. They're both on this line right here, so that makes that one our transversal. This is going to be our transversal. And then this one is going to be on A, and this one's going to be on B. So that means that all this right here is not necessary information, or also referred to as useless information. So this line had nothing to do with those 2 angles right there. So that's the reason why that is going to be off of there. So now the next thing, so that means that A is parallel to B. So there's a symbol. So A is parallel to B. Okay. Now right here it says parallel based on this diagram and conclusion. So right here, so A is parallel to B. Now there's also a reason, justification for this. Now the reason why that angle 13 is going to be congruent to angle 12 is going to be because they're alternate interior angles. There we go. Because they're alternate interior angles. All right, number 17. Given the following coordinates right here for A and B, find the midpoint and length. So 2 things, midpoint and length. So midpoint formula, x1 plus x2 over 2, y1 plus y2 over 2. So here's my first point, that's my second point. So it's going to be negative 1 plus 3 over 2. And it's going to be right here, which is 6 plus negative 2 over 2. Let's see, that's going to give me 2 over 2, which is 1. And this is going to give me 4 over 2, which is 2. So my midpoint is going to give me 1, 2. So there's the midpoint. And now, if you're not one of my students, you'll probably get really confused about this. Now, let's find the distance here. So distance is equal to the square root of, it's going to be delta x squared plus delta y squared. So delta refers to the difference, how far they're apart. So how far is negative 1 away from 3? That's going to be 4. How far is 6 away from negative 2? That's going to be 8. So squared plus square root. So all I did is took these numbers. If you put them on a number line, you could count how far they're apart. And that's my x. That's my x and my y. Those are my deltas. So this one's right here is going to give me 16 and 64, which is 80. So d is equals square root of 80. So d is about 8.9. You can do it in your calculator. You should get the same thing. So we found the midpoint and we found the length. Number 18. Now, given an equation, what would the slope of a line be that is? So it's only asking for the slope, not equation. So now, to take this, we need to turn it into slope-intercept. So I'm going to rewrite this. 6y minus 2x equals 18. So plus 2x. So I get 6y equals 2x plus 18. Divide by 6. Divided by 6, I get y equals, now this one right here, 2 over 6 gives me 1/3 because it reduces. X plus 18 divided by 6 is 3. So there is my equation there. So that goes back to this one, just turns it into y equals mx plus b. Now, parallel lines have same slope. So for this one, my slope would be m is 1 over 3. Perpendicular lines are opposite reciprocal. So opposite, so if this is positive, this one has to be negative. A negative. Now, so that's the opposite. Now, reciprocal means I flip it over. So it goes from 1 over 3 to 3 over 1, which is just 3. All right, thank you for liking, comment, subscribe to this YouTube channel. I don't know, what else do you add to this? Good luck.